Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a story that's as chilling as it is brilliant, a case where a woman, sensing her own time was running out, left behind a trail of clues so perfect that she essentially solved her own murder from beyond the grave. This is the incredible story of Rachel Turner. Our story begins in Brookhaven, Tennessee, a small, quiet town where nothing much ever happens. But that all changed with a 911 call that should never have existed. An operator picked up the line, but it was faint, filled with static. Through the noise, a woman's voice, trembling but clear, managed to whisper, "My name is Rachel Turner. He's going to kill me." And then, just as suddenly, the line went dead. Dispatch scrambled to trace the call, but it cut out completely. By the time officers arrived at the Turner residence, the house was eerily silent. Inside, they found 35-year-old Rachel Turner, a beloved local nurse, lying on the kitchen floor. There was no sign of a break-in, no obvious struggle. The only things out of place were the faint smell of bleach in the air and a phone, still recording, beside her body. For a town of barely 9,000 people, a murder was unthinkable. This was the kind of place where neighbors knew each other by name and kids played outside until dark. This single act of violence didn't just shake the community, it shattered their fundamental sense of safety. Rachel was known for her boundless kindness. She was the nurse who stayed late to comfort a patient, the neighbor who welcomed new families with freshly baked cookies, and the friend who always remembered to check in. Her husband, Mark Turner, was a local contractor. He was charming, well-liked, and seen as a pillar of the community, volunteering at church and helping neighbors with odd jobs. From the outside, they were the perfect all-American couple, married for nearly a decade and deeply in love. But behind the closed doors of their seemingly perfect home, a much darker reality was unfolding. In the months leading up to her death, Rachel's friends noticed a change in her. She became withdrawn, quiet, and easily distracted. One friend recalled her saying, "I feel like someone's always watching me." Another mentioned that Rachel had grown paranoid about her phone and computer, convinced someone was tampering with them. At the time, they brushed it off, but after her death, those quiet warnings became the very breadcrumbs that would unravel a monstrous secret. During the initial search of the house, detectives found Rachel's phone lying face down on the kitchen counter. When they unlocked it, they discovered something extraordinary, a series of voice memos and detailed notes, all created in the weeks before her death. In one recording, Rachel's voice was calm, almost clinical, as if she were documenting the symptoms of a disease. She said, "If something happens to me, it won't be an accident. Check the shed. Check my laptop. Don't believe what he tells you." That last line, "do and believe what he tells you," hit the detectives like a ton of bricks. Mark Turner had already given his statement. He claimed he was asleep when it all happened, only waking up to the sound of the phone ringing. He said he came downstairs, found Rachel on the floor, and tried to revive her. But the paramedics found no evidence of CPR, and perhaps the most glaring red flag of all, he never called 911 himself. When questioned, he said he was too panicked to think straight. It just didn't add up. Detectives dug deeper into Rachel's digital life. Tucked away in her notes app, they found a hidden folder that served as a secret diary. Each entry was time-stamped and meticulously detailed, painting a terrifying picture of her final weeks. She wrote about escalating arguments with Mark. She wrote about finding strange receipts for chemicals and gloves. She even described the chilling experience of waking up one night to find him standing over her bed, just staring silently into the darkness. In one of her final entries, she wrote, "I think he's planning something. I've started recording things just in case." And she had investigators, spurred by her notes, did another sweep of the kitchen. This time, they found it a tiny USB camera, expertly hidden behind the kitchen clock, something the initial crime scene team had completely missed. When they played back the footage, their blood ran cold. The video showed Mark in the kitchen just 3 nights before Rachel's death, carefully mixing a substance into a glass of wine. A few moments later, Rachel walked in. She smiled, kissed him, and took a sip from the glass he handed her. That single clip changed the entire investigation. The medical examiner's report confirmed their worst fears. They found traces of ethylene glycol, the primary ingredient in antifreeze in Rachel's system. It's a slow, agonizing poison with early symptoms that mimic the flu, making it difficult to detect. It was the same chemical Mark had purchased weeks earlier from an auto parts store. When detectives confronted him with the receipt, he claimed it was for a job. But the date on the receipt told a different story. He debought the antifreeze on his wife's birthday, the very same day Rachel had gone to stay with her sister because she wasn't feeling well. The prosecution later argued Mark had been poisoning her for weeks, a little at a time, until that final fatal dose. But Rachel Turner had one final, brilliant surprise left for everyone. In a voice memo recorded just 48 hours before her death, she whispered, "If you're hearing this, it's too late. Check the metal box in the shed." Following her instructions, investigators went to the shed. Inside an old toolbox, they found a small flash drive, carefully wrapped in cloth. On that drive was a treasure trove of evidence Rachel had been secretly compiling. There were copies of her emails, screenshots of Mark's chilling internet search history, and even photos she had discreetly taken of his receipts. His search history included terms like, "How much antifreeze kills a person?" "How long before poison shows in a blood test?" and the one that revealed his motive, "Signs your wife is cheating." Mark had become consumed by the baseless belief that Rachel was having an affair. Despite a thorough investigation, police found absolutely no evidence to support his suspicion. It was his own jealousy and desire for control that fueled his plan to murder his wife. When the case went to trial in 2021, the prosecution presented it as a murder solved by the victim herself. The voice recordings, the digital diary, the hidden camera footage. And the flash drive created a timeline so airtight, so damning, that the defense had no answer. Rachel Turner, with the precision of a seasoned detective, had documented her own murder, leaving behind a perfect roadmap for justice. The jury took only 6 hours to find Mark Turner guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As the verdict was read, Rachel's family wept not just with grief, but in awe of her incredible foresight and courage. Today, the story of Rachel Turner still echoes through Brookhaven. Her former colleagues at the hospital keep her photo in the break room, a memorial to their friend who was taken too soon. Locals admit that her case taught them that evil can hide in the most familiar of places. Rachel Turner wasn't a police officer or a private investigator. She was an ordinary woman who, when faced with an unimaginable horror, found an extraordinary way to fight back. She refused to be silenced, even in death, and in doing so, she became the woman who solved her own murder. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content like this. Stay safe out there.